Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought that it would be fun to go through my holiday haul items. There were a lot of things that I bought through Black Friday or holiday discounts at the end of 2021, and a couple of my subscribers had mentioned that they wanted to see those, and I thought it would be fun to just go through them and show you what I got. So all except one of these palettes I bought for myself as Christmas gifts. My husband and I had decided how much money we wanted to spend for each other, and then we just went and bought what we wanted. So I actually bought mine early because I did want to take advantage of some Black Friday sales, but I couldn't open them until Christmas, which is why this video is coming later. But anyway, that's what today's video is about, and if you would like to see that, then please stick around. And if you haven't been here before, hello and welcome. My name is Rachel. I'm just a homeschooling stay-at-home mom who doesn't really know much about makeup, but loves to play with colorful eyeshadow. In fact, today's look I did film, and if you want to see it, then I will link that down below. Today's look was using my top 3 BH Cosmetics palettes, all 3 of them at once, to make this pretty eyeshadow look. So if you're interested, that's where it'll be. If you like colorful eyeshadow tutorials, rankings, comparisons, anything along those lines, then you might like my channel, and I hope that you will consider liking and subscribing, and remember that you can find me on Instagram as well at Shimmers and Silver. Now let's get to it. So there are 4 brands represented here in this video today. The first brand is Colourpop. Now Colourpop was my first eyeshadow love. It is the first company I found when I really started getting into eyeshadow, which was about 11 months ago at this point. And I was lucky because Colourpop is a great brand. They're really affordable and the quality is fantastic. However, I didn't buy anything from Colourpop's Black Friday sales, even though they were excellent, because Colourpop is affordable. And I thought, well, hey, if I've only got a certain amount of money to spend and I can get like 30% discounts on anything I want, then it would behoove me to put that money towards higher cost palettes that I hitherto haven't tried because maybe they were higher cost. So it's precisely because Colourpop is very affordable that I didn't buy anything for Black Friday. However, someone in my family did get me something, which was completely unexpected. So my husband has 8 siblings, and from his parents on down there were like 30 or 35 of us. I don't know. People keep having babies. I've lost count. Anyway, so for Christmas, we all just do a Pollyanna and everyone picks a name. So my person bought me the Play It Jewel palette, which was so sweet and thoughtful and very unexpected. I really like this eyeshadow palette. I especially love these jewel tones like these, like this quad right here. Yummy. The reason that I didn't buy this palette myself was because it has so many neutrals, and I just don't use neutrals. So what I think I'm going to do is, after doing a few tutorials on this palette as is, I think I might take my So Very Lovely Colourpop palette, which I keep thinking of decluttering, but then I like it, but then I don't remember it. I might take those shadows, pop out some of these very neutral shades, and put the So Very Lovely shades in here. So I'm just going to do a little switcheroo and customize this to myself and my own tastes, and I know that those shadows will get used a lot more if they're in a more accessible palette. So that's my plan for this palette, but I was so surprised to get it. This is the only one I didn't know about, and I'm really glad that I have it because it's quite pretty. The next brand represented is BH Cosmetics. So I already had several palettes from BH Cosmetics, and when they were doing some of their steep end of the year discounts, I decided to grab a few more things. The first one I'll mention is the Blueberry Muffin palette. Actually, I used this in today's eyeshadow look, along with one other that'll be mentioned here, and the Passion in Paris palette. Now, if you follow Angelica Nyquist, you'll know that Passion in Paris was her #1 eyeshadow palette for 2021, but Blueberry Muffin was her favorite from the previous year, 2020. And I bought Passion in Paris, and then much later, obviously like a month ago, I bought the Blueberry Muffin, and I'm so glad I did. This is a fantastic palette. If you like cool toned blues and browns, this is your jam right here. Like, first off, these blue shades are amazing. They're so pigmented. They basically just blend themselves. You put them on your eye, you put them where you want them to be, and they're done. There's almost no blending. And then these browns, every time I use these shades, I'm completely blown away by how well they work. There are some really lovely shimmers in here. My only qualm with this palette is that I wish that they had put, like, these 3 shimmers are similar. This one's a little more purpley toned. I wish they would have put one more purple toned shimmer instead of one of these. There are differences in the 3, but they're close. But aside from that, this is a fantastic palette, and I'm so glad that I got it. And I've gotten now four very different looks from this palette the 4 times I've used it, so that's a keeper. Another one on this list is Lost in Los Angeles. This palette I bought explicitly as a companion palette because I don't really go for neutrals that much, but I have a lot of really dark toned eyeshadow palettes and I wanted neutrals, not neutrals. Did I say neutrals? I mean pastels. Sorry, I don't really go for pastels very much. It's late. I filmed this eyeshadow look 15 hours ago. It's still going strong, but I've been up since about 4 a.m. Anyway, I don't really go for pastels very much. I like bold, dramatic eyeshadow looks, but because I have so many bold, dramatic, dark eyeshadow palettes, I really like to have something that's much lighter toned, which I can use to blend out those other colors, because if you just throw a bunch of deep colors on your eyes, it can be distracting and doesn't enhance the way that I want my eyeshadow to enhance. But pairing it with something that's the same color story, only lighter and more pastel, is a fabulous way to build up the dimension and the depth and the color and just make your looks a lot more interesting. So these are very nice pastel eyeshadows. You just dip in and go. Like I've used this mint surprised me. This one up here, it looks pink, but it actually shows up in the eyes a lot more purpley. Really surprised me. This blue is very nice. It's a great palette, and I've used the Hills here for several different eyeshadow looks as an inner corner highlight. So this was another great buy. I think I got these 2 palettes for $7 a piece. This one and Blueberry Muffin through with the end of year sales. So win. Another palette that I got was the Do Not Disturb palette from the Say It collection. I did a video using this palette and I had a really pretty blue and purple eyeshadow look resulting from it. I love the colors of this palette. I was a little bit surprised by some of the shimmer formula, because this one, for example, it was more of a topper shade and not the very metallic foiledy is not a word. The very metallic shimmer formula that I'm used to from BH Cosmetics. It was still nice, it just didn't pay off exactly the way I expected it to, but it's a great palette. In the video where I'd used this palette, it was a get ready with me, and I have a whole diatribe about brand marketing and why I didn't buy other palettes from this series, because I really liked a couple of them, specifically the green one, but I didn't buy them, and if you want to know why, then go check out that video. And then the last things that I got from BH Cosmetics for the end of 2021 sales were these 3 birthstone palettes. I already had Peridot and Sapphire, and then I bought these 3. And I'll just go through them quickly. Turquoise was another one of my top 3 that was first off used in today's eyeshadow look, in case you can't tell. But also, this palette's amazing. I love that they put a gold in here. I wish that they'd put like a black almost, but aside from that, it's gorgeous. This blue is phenomenal. Gorgeous, amazing. They're all just, it's a really nice palette. It's really nice. This was number 3 out of my top 3. So this is great. The Opal palette I bought, again, just like Lost in Los Angeles, I bought this as a companion palette. I don't really use this palette by itself. And honestly, the first time I used it, I was dipping into the pink and the orange, and I was like, okay, this is totally like boring. But then I dipped into this mint green shimmer and this blue, and I was stunned. I was blown away. They are phenomenal. Like, those 2 shimmers are enough to keep, like, they warrant keeping the whole palette. They're just fabulous. They're so good. So the next time I use this palette, you can bet that it's gonna be mainly mint and blue, because I just want those shades all over my lid. Anyway, I bought this as a companion palette. These 2 are the star of the show, hands down. And the third one is the Garnet palette. This was the January one. I bought this instead of Ruby because this one had a little more depth with the deep browns, and when I looked at comparison videos and pictures, it seemed like the shimmer in the Garnet was pretty much the same as the shimmer in the Ruby, but Garnet had more depth, so that's why I went for this one. I do like this red matte. I don't have any other red eyeshadows in my collection. There's a reddish eyeshadow in the Wilderness palette from Beauty Bay, but that one's a much more yellow based warm toned red, and this is not. This is a cooler toned red, and I have cool undertones, so I appreciate cool tones. So I've done one look with this one, and I'll be doing another look in January because this is January's palette. So if you're interested, you can expect to see another video for this palette coming up soon. Hello, Editing Rachel here. I just wanted to make a quick amendment to this part of the video. I actually went back and I looked at the Wilderness palette because I thought that I might be wrong, and there are indeed 2 matte reds in that palette, one of which is called Poppy. That one has more yellowy orange undertones, and the other one is called Raw, and Raw is cool toned. It definitely has some blue undertones to it. But compared to the Garnet palette, I think Garnet is more of a true fire engine sort of red. When I think red eyeshadow, I don't think Wilderness because those tones are more subdued and earthy leaning. So if I want red eyeshadow, I go for Garnet, and I should know because I used it today, and this tutorial will be live soon. Okay, we've got 2 companies left. We're going to dive into Glamlight. I was very excited to get the Michaela palette from Glamlight. I love colorful eyeshadow. Did you know that? Is that a surprise? I hope that's not a surprise to you. This palette is so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I've used it twice so far, and I used it yesterday. I'm not sure the time frame on when all these videos are going to be posted to YouTube, but I used this palette yesterday. I used only this pink matte and this green matte, and I had like a 2-tone, I don't know, saltwater taffy sort of look going on with a big bold wing, and it was amazing. It was just fabulous. I dipped into this green and it was so full and pigmented. It was amazing. And the other time I used this palette was with all these purples. I was trying to recreate a look that I'd seen Michaela do in one of her promotional photographs, and I'm really impressed by this palette. I'm gonna have so much fun in this palette. I was very excited to get this one. It was highly anticipated by me, and I look forward to playing with it a lot more. I get this one for 30% off. It's a great deal. And the other palette that I was so excited about from Glamlight was the Dirty Martini. Come on, guys. Can I just, like, need I say more? In fact, I don't need to say anything. Just... This is so beautiful. This is so stunning. The colors, the shimmers, the tones, the depths, the textures, the variety. There are 4 green mattes in here. You know, I recently compared this with the Avocado Toast palette from BH Cosmetics, which was in and of itself highly recommended by everyone. I ended up decluttering that palette. If you want to see the video, you know, I think all these specific videos that I'm mentioning, the Avocado Toast Dirty Martini comparison, as well as that BH Cosmetics Do Not Disturb video, I will link all of that down below in the comments, because if you're curious, that's just an easy way for you to get there. But I compared these 2 palettes, the Dirty Martini to the BH Cosmetics Avocado Toast. I compared them side by side. I swatched everything. I tried to find comparisons or dupes. For my eyeshadow tastes and preferences, this palette won out, hands down. Like, the Avocado Toast palette was great. If you prefer the grungier, more muted or subdued greens, then that's the way to go. But if you're like me and you just love bright, bold, in-your-face, I spent half an hour doing my eyeshadow and I want everybody to know it sort of colors, then this is your happy place. I can't wait to dip more into this palette as well. I've done one look with this one so far. I used this green, these 3 right here, and then these 2 shimmers, and it was like a green-blue look, and it was pretty, but so pretty. This one's amazing. I get excited about this palette. The last thing from Glamlight that I wanted to mention is not an eyeshadow palette, but it is the Icing Eyeshadow Primer. I got mine in the color White Frosting. I had heard that this was really, really good to keep your shadows from creasing, and because I have slightly hooded eyes, my shadows do crease, some more so than others. For example, companies that have a more putty-like shimmer formula as opposed to powder, such as Beauty Bay shimmers, and honestly even their mattes, always crease on me, and they crease within like 20 minutes of applying my eyeshadows. Now for me, it's not the end of the world. I don't mind dipping in once or twice throughout the day to just sort of smooth things over, but it's not ideal. I mean, really. Whereas companies like Colourpop, whose shimmer formulas are more powdery, I don't have nearly as much of a problem with those. But because I really like Beauty Bay, and I really like Glamlight, and I really like BH Cosmetics, and some of these formulas, they just are more prone to creasing. When I heard that this primer was supposed to be good for creasing, I definitely wanted to try it. So I got this for just a couple of bucks with their sales, and I have to say I've used this multiple times now on all of the companies whose shadows crease on me, and I can go 15, 16, 17 hours with basically no creasing. This eye creases more, and so this eye combined with Beauty Bay shimmers and mattes, that was my litmus test for seeing how well this worked, and I gotta say, I was very impressed. So now if I'm using any of the companies who crease on me, I use the eye stain primer from Glamlight. If I'm using Colourpop, I just use my regular NYX primer until it's out, but I cannot more highly recommend this. This stuff's great. Okay, and the last company that is represented in this video is udenzai, and I saved the prettiest packaging for last. I won't say I saved the best for last because I love each of these palettes and formulas for their own, for their own merits, but udenzai wins when it comes to packaging. Oh my word, the packaging. Okay, let's start with Norns. I got, an avalanche. I got the Norns palette. udenzai, I feel like their packaging is very much like their shimmer formula. It's very ethereal, very light, very mystical, fairy feeling. It's really beautiful. Each of these palettes came in an outer sleeve which exactly matched the packaging itself. I almost kept the sleeve, even though I basically never do that, but I almost kept the sleeves because they were so pretty. But I was worried that I might grab a sleeve, like grab a palette that was in a sleeve, and the palette would come sliding out and break. And I didn't want that to happen. So I gave the sleeves to my daughter because she was so excited to have such pretty little boxes, and she has them on display in her bathroom. This is the Norns palette. I have learned that the Norns are the three sisters of destiny, I believe. It's like past, present, future, and they weave threads of destiny. That's what I've heard. Look at the details in this packaging. It's got these lovely holographic accents everywhere, but it's not tacky, it's not overdone, it's not in your face. It's just very delicate. Delicate is a good word. Delicate. It's just so pretty. And what I love is that for the eyeshadow palettes, they emphasize the eyes. Like, the clearest elements in these designs are the eyes of the three sisters. The Norns collection also had 3 mini palettes, and it was one for each sister. I think it was Skuld, Urd, and oh, I don't remember. It was like a reddish orange palette. It's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I didn't buy any of those, but I did buy the large Norns palette. So inside we have these beautiful shades here. This one up here is a deep chocolate brown, and then this one is actually called Colorful Black. So it's a black shadow, but it's got different flecks of color in it. And then over here you have a shimmery purple. Everything else I think is rather self-explanatory. And then this one up here is like a gold and white mixed. It's very pretty. And this one, I thought that this would be a dud shade for me because it's just standard kind of boring neutral, but I actually used it as a transition tone and it worked quite nicely. I recently posted a video using this palette, and I'll be doing more. The udenzai formula is different from any of the other ones that I have experience with, so I'm still kind of getting to learn it and work with it and figure out how it works best. And there are different formulas. You've got, you've got standard mattes, and then you've got standard shimmers, which are amazing. The udenzai shimmers seem to have even smaller, like micro particles of glitter. First off, it gets everywhere, so you look like you've been doused in like fairy dust. But they look very ethereal on the eyes. They're very different. They're very unique. I like them a lot. They're very pretty. But then there's a third formula in here, which is kind of like creamy matte with sparkle. I don't know what it is, and I'm still learning how to work it well, but the Norns palette is so pretty, and I really look forward to playing with it more. Okay, so another large palette that udenzai sells in the Elva and then the Elva 2 collection. I didn't buy either of those palettes, but I did buy 2 of the minis. So this is from the Elva 2 collection. This is the Mini Forest palette. I recently did a look with this one. I did not do a tutorial, but I posted it as a reel on Instagram. It was just one of those, transformation reveal videos. It was fun. Those are a lot of fun. Anyway, trying to hold this in a way that's not stupid. It's so little. Okay, I figured it out. This palette's lovely. This palette has, it's kind of like, this is more warm toned, but then this is cool toned, this is cool toned, this is sort of warmish, coolish, and then, I don't know, they're interesting colors. If I were to think of a forest, I would think deep greens. I would think mossy green, forest green, deep dark browns. Like, I imagine the shadowy depths of a forest. But this palette is not those colors. This palette is light and airy, and this is like the fun little path that you find with buttercups on either side as you, like, the deep dark forest is way ahead of you, but this is the beginning of the forest, right on the edge. You know, the grass is growing taller and the trees are starting to get a little closer, and it's still lighthearted, and it's very pretty, and I liked it a lot. I really liked the look I did with this one. The other mini palette I bought was the Elva 2 Mini Ocean palette. This is the one that I actually have not used yet, which, now that I think about it, I need to use this palette because it's stupid to have palettes I haven't used. This does make me think of the ocean. And I like that they didn't overwhelm it with blues. Yes, in 6 shades there are 3 blues, but it's the ocean palette. But then you've got unexpected colors. You've got a brown, and then like a brownish orange, and then this sort of lavender purpley sort of color. But they all still work with the blues. And with, as far as the blues go, you've got very light, you've got very dark, and then you've got a more green leaning one. This is just really well curated color story, and I look forward to playing with this one soon because I haven't touched it yet. Have I? I have touched it. I haven't done a full look, but I did dip into this shimmery blue shade one time for an inner corner highlight. But I need to do a look with this one. Okay, there are only 2 more palettes left in this video, so they are both udenzai. One of them is the Hummingbird palette. This one I vote as my ultimate favorite packaging. So gorgeous. This was part of the legendary Diversa collection with Tina from the Fancy Face, Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, and Judy. Judy was the very first YouTuber that I found when I started getting into eyeshadow. And Judy is the reason that I bought a lot of Colourpop. Judy's awesome. I didn't buy Judy's palette because she is a lot more neutral leaning, and that's just not my thing, but her palette's really pretty and had one green in it that I kind of wanted, just that green. It was like a sage green. It was very pretty. And then Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, her palette was called Giant Wolves. Sorry, Judy's was called Red Dragon. Annette's was called Giant Wolves. Why am I holding this up while I talk about other people's palettes? It's been a long day. Annette's palette was called Giant Wolves, and that one had these super deep, dark, moody tones, like deep purples and blues. If I could have, I probably would have grabbed that one, but it was sold out when I finally got to the website. But I did get Hummingbird, and this is the one that I really, really wanted. This is from Tina at the Fancy Face, and I didn't know Tina. I had to look her up to find out who she was, but I love these colors. These colors are so beautiful. They are so brilliant and bright. It's like, this is the Hummingbird palette, and it's true. It's like having a hummingbird on your face. They're so vibrant. This one makes me think a lot of the Dirty Martini palette just because of the depth and brightness of the colors. It's absolutely stunning. I've used this once so far, and I will say it scared me a little bit because there are absolutely no neutrals. And usually, okay, I definitely complain if a palette has a lot of neutrals. But if it has no neutrals, I wasn't quite sure where to start. And I really had to concentrate and think about what colors I wanted to use, like what colors would work together. What I ended up doing was choosing the one shimmer that I wanted, the shimmer that was calling my name at that time, and then trying to choose mattes to work around it. I think that I will probably end up pairing this palette with some other ones. Like if I had the Giant Wolves palette, they would probably work together super well. But I don't have that one, and all 3 of them at this point are sold out and will not be restocked. So I'm glad I got it when I could, and I absolutely love these colors. I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing with this one. So this one's, and the packaging. Can we talk about the packaging for a minute? Look at this. Look at they've got Tina right here. She has purple hair. They've represented her like, they've represented what she looks like quite well. She always has these giant hoop earrings, but then they turned her into a hummingbird, and within the hummingbird they have all these beautiful hues and tones, and the colors just all blend together. And then there's a hummingbird here that echoes her coloring, and there's a hummingbird back here, and then there are these cute little details of like embossed gold. It's super gorgeous, so I'm excited that I have this palette. And last but not least, we have the Saga of Freya Cat's Breath palette. This is chapter 2, The Cat with Golden Carriage. It's so funny. Right after I'd gotten these palettes, my sister was telling me about some fan fiction that she had been reading, which involved Norse mythology, and she read me a couple of chapters from this fan fiction story, and I'm like, wait, I recognize so many of these names. So that was just random and funny. But the Saga Freya cat palette, the Cat's Breath, this one gives me all the feels. I adore the vibrance of this orange and this teal. They look so good together. They just work. And then everything else in the palette is built on those two colors. You've got like this is perfect Tiffany blue. And then you've got this shimmer here, which is kind of like a gray-green kind of shimmer. And then you've got the orangey tones here. This is a much more muted version of this. And then this is a shimmer, but it's got kind of a pinky orange shift to it. And then this shimmer here is blue and white. It ends up being like a blue-white topper. Up here you've got, it's hard to tell. It's like a blue, purple, orange blend. And did I miss one? I did. This one, this is just a brown, like a dusty brown with little micro shimmers in it. This palette's beautiful. It doesn't excite me the way that the Dirty Martini or the Michaela or even the Hummingbird really excite me. Like I go, all the colors. But this one I kind of feel like the word that, for this one, the word that comes to mind is regal. And I don't know if that's accurate. It's not like a royal blue or a royal purple. Age of Opulence, for example, from Beauty Bay, that palette is like New Year's Eve glam in a box. But this palette is just, to me, it's just very tasteful. And it's done so elegantly and it's done so well. It's not blinging, it's not glam, it's not in your face, it's not foiled metallics. It has all of those features and elements in a more understated way, so you still get the impact of them, but in a very classy format. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. It's been a long day and I think I'm kind of rambling at this point, so it's probably good that this is my last palette. But this Cat's Breath palette, I think this is my favorite one from udenzai. There's just something about it that je ne sais quoi is so, it's kind of magical, and I don't think I'm explaining it terribly well, but I don't know, it's so beautiful. This one just makes me go, So that is my holiday haul from the end of 2021. I really enjoyed going through these palettes because sometimes when you see your palettes all lined up in the cabinet, it's like, you might lose the enthusiasm for them. I haven't gotten there yet, but you might, or you might forget the variety of colors that that palette holds. Like sometimes, for example, I see the side of the Michaela palette and I think purple, because purple is like Michaela's color and purple is all the promo photos and she's wearing purple and her eyeshadow's purple. I just think Michaela, purple. But the Michaela palette has 25 other amazing, beautiful, vibrant, pigmented colors, and it's so pretty. It's not just purple. And so sometimes the first association of a palette isn't everything that it can offer. So it's so nice to just go through and remind myself what these palettes look like, what sort of treasures they hold, and what kind of fun I can have with them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate your time and hanging out with me. Thank you for choosing my video to spend, 15 minutes of your life. And until we see each other again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye. You'll know that passion and power, and then the last things I got from BH Cosmetics in this sale, but Blueberry Muffin was her favorite. I can't get this thing to stay.